Hello, everybody. So, I've wanted to talk about this for a while. So, I wanted to walk you through the steps that I would take if you're trying to do a build a nation save in Football Manager. So, you might see I'm with Derry City in 2028. I have quite a lot of experience in building nation saves in Football Manager, especially of Ireland. In Football Manager 2022, I took Derry City to the Champions League final, and I will not be leaving this save, especially with now the capacity to transfer this save to FM24. I will not be leaving this save until I win the Champions League with Derry City. But there's a lot of lessons I've had to learn about this sort of save that I thought I would let you all know about. I'd also tell you that if you're choosing a savior save, or sorry, not a savior save, a build save, what you should look out for and how potentially to pick a league and what sort of general strategies you should take in order to start improving and getting better. So the first thing you're going to want to think about is your league. So I chose the Irish League because I am Irish and Derry City are a club that I would consider them my second team now. So Derry City makes sense for me. Now, each league has different rules, different schedules. So, the Irish League, for example, is a league that plays in during the summer and then has a break during the winter window. The main thing this means is actually your transfers, the start of your first transfer will be during the season for the vast majority of other leagues. And halfway through your season will be the start of the transfer window for every major club in Europe, which makes it very difficult for me. For example, I have some great players in this team, and oftentimes they're pressuring to go and leave the club in the middle of my season, just when you're going to begin starting Champions League qualifications. So look out for that. Number one, the schedule. Having a traditional league can make it a lot easier to plan, to keep hold of players, that sort of thing. Second of all, each different league will have different prize money. This one's a minor point. So in Ireland, I get about 400k for winning the league. But that won't even cover a tiny percent of my wages or anything. So you look at my finances, for example, I have a pretty good budget. I had, I believe, 72 million at one point. But if you look, I'm spending 1.3 million and it's only the 20th of May this month. So I'm getting 400k from the entirety of winning the league. That links into something that I'll mention later as well. So if you're playing in a league with lower money for winning games and especially lower money for TV revenue, you're going to have to exist on a much different operating level than necessarily I do. Or regular clubs do. If you play in the Premier League, you can do a lot just with Premier League prize money and Premier League TV money. Other leagues may have more money or less money. Ireland is quite a low rated league. I'll touch on reputation later. So the second thing you want to look at is reputation of the league. This does a couple of things. First of all, it ties into your European spots. And second of all, it makes it easier or harder to get players to join your club and your country. So you may think that attracting youngsters, wonder kids, is ranked just to your club reputation, but it's also related to your nation reputation. So even though as Derry City, I am now considered a standard European club. I've been in the Champions League for a number of years. Because of Ireland's league reputation, they may look at me and go, yes, I could join Ireland. Derry City are a very good team, but I could join somebody else. So if we look, the Irish Premier Division in 2028 is 43rd in the world. We are below League One. We start at 83rd best division in the entirety of Europe. You can make it very hard or very difficult. You could obviously start with somebody at the very bottom, somebody like Liechtenstein. Well, that's the non-leagues, but for example, if you started, let me try and find the first division that you could theoretically play. The Irish Premier Division. Sorry, this is the Irish second division, I believe. If you started there, actually we could do that. Go and check the, yep, that is the Irish, Northern Irish First Division, and they are ranked 146th. That would be much more difficult in turn than the Republic of Ireland would be. There would also be less money, be more of a challenge. Obviously, if you started high, you could start with, for example, somebody like the Greek Super League or the Turkish Super League, the Scottish, Austrian, all brilliant builder saves. You would have a slightly easier time than I would in terms of money, in terms of reputation, in terms of the third thing, European spots. So if we go into my competition rules, you can see I would like to know who gets what spots. In general, at the start of the Irish save, the top team gets European qualification chances, and the second and third team get European Conference League. You don't go into the group stages, you go into the first qualifying round. As that has gotten better and better, I have increased this slowly. I believe first gets Champions League, second gets Europa League, and third and the winner of the cup get Conference League. So there's more teams in your nation getting to Europe, but also I've increased the level where I'm getting into Europe. If I look at my calendar for last season, you can see I got beat in the knockout round against Newcastle. Very, very good team managed by Zinedine Zidane. Not a lot you can do about that. But if I look, I entered. There you can see I actually got through to the round of 16 last year. I beat Mainz in the knockout round. Then I lost to Man City. To be fair, lost 1-0 at home and I drew 0-0 away from home, which is a very good result. But if I look, I started in the third qualifying round. At the start of this save, I was starting in the first qualifying round. As this nation's and this league's reputation gets greater, and as its coefficient in Europe goes up, there may be even the chance that first place will get automatic group stages. One of the things as well you're going to have to remember, it's not just about improving your own club, it's also about improving all the clubs around you. It is possible to drag your nation's reputation up simply by getting Champions League football, simply by signing with players yourself, but it will always be easier if you're also improving the teams around you, improving their reputation, improving their ability to sign players. So I think I was quite fortunate. Unfortunate, I believe if I filter this just by so, for example, Dundalk have been in 2025. They got to the Europa Conference League fourth qualifying round where they played Nice, unfortunately, which is quite a hard game. It would have been better if they had got in to actual competitions, but Shamrock Rovers actually got into the Europa Conference League stage, which is really good. They get additional money, but they're also then helping to improve their own reputation and the league's reputation. They said they did it the year before in 2025 as well. And I believe one more I believe it was actually Sligo Rovers, who had a very good couple of seasons before falling very, very far off. But you can see Europa League, Conference League. Last season, they got to the fourth qualifying round. You can see they entered in the second. I'm not sure. Oh, they got knocked out of the Europa League qualifying and then went into the Conference League qualifying. Same last year or in 2026. So you can see what's trying to happen here. I'm also very much selling players and loaning players to these clubs to try and improve their. If I go general info, no. I'd like to see what clubs they're at, if that's possible. No, I can't see. For example, you can see Martin Corello. He's at UCD in Ireland. If I go down, the Siri Mustafa Ayaz is in St. Pat's Athletic. Eamon Costello's in Dundalk. But in general, I'm trying to loan players out to the Irish League. Keith Kennedy is at Shelbourne. Ivan Perez is at Bohemians. Corello's there. Goncalo Silva's at Drogheda. And I have a lot of players out on loan. Janic is at Shamrock Rovers. There's two more. Coleraine, Shelbourne, Treaty United. You can see I have a lot of loans, but I am at that stage where I'm starting to want the kid hoard. So make sure to consider all these things when you're picking your league. If you're playing in Switzerland, for example, you're going to have more money, more reputation, and an easier path to getting into Europe, to getting better players than necessarily I would. So I'm going to talk more specifically about lower rated nation building because that's what I've experienced. But in general, these tips will apply to you as well, no matter what league. If we go into my transfer history, you can see I've sold a lot of players. Now I'm at the point now where I'm bringing in players, improving them out, and then after this next season afterwards, I'm often selling them for large amounts of money. For example, Wim Crab went to Tottenham. I believe I signed him for 1.5 million, played 3 seasons, 8.75 million to Tottenham. Jesus Olaya came in on a free, actually, played 1 season, went to Alaves for 7.5 million. I'm also attaching very heavy clauses to each player. I'm actually going to show you this now. If you see that, every single one of those players is a player that I have sold in this save who has a clause attached to them, either a profit clause or a flat transfer clause. For example, Wim Crab, I believe, has a 30% profit selling clause. So if they sell him for 50 million, detract 8.75 million for that, that's what? 41 million? I get 30% of that. I don't know if I'll be able to find this because it happened a fair bit ago. No, it happened a fair bit ago. But one of my former players that I will be able to find at some point. Actually, I know I can just search for Bayern Munich. Yes, he went to Bayern Munich. He was one of my first genuine, I'd say genuine wonder kids. But at the time, okay, come on, man. I'll go to Champions League. They'll probably be in the gym. That's a very interesting Champions League. If I go league phase, Bayern Munich will be, yeah, FC Bayern Munich. Go to players, where is he? They have Bukayo Saka. Okay. Eduardo. So I picked this guy up very, very early on, 2024, for 625k. At the time, he was good. He wasn't this good. He played 2 seasons for me, didn't set the world on fire. 9 goals and 10 assists is pretty good. Sold to West Ham for 1.5 million plus 50% of his next 50% of the profit from his next sale. After 2 seasons at West Ham, he went to Bayern Munich for 81 million, which means I got a shortfall of about 39 million pound. This is something I'll say: if you're selling to a bigger nation or a bigger club, always attach, especially if they're good prospects, always attach sell-on clauses. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. I went into transfer history. I'm spending a lot now. I spent 90 million last year. Part of that was the 39 million that I got additional from Eduardo, which won't count in being in the general budget, you can see. But at the very start of the save, 2022, the vast majority of my players came in on frees or small pieces of money. So, the first step in every Build a Nation save will be building the team that can get to Europe. For some, this is easier than others. If you're in Turkey, if you're in Greece, if you're in Switzerland, if you're in Hungary, Romania, that's not going to be terrifically difficult. In Ireland, that was quite a challenge. But one of the things I say as well is, and this is very specific to Ireland, but other nations perhaps around England, look for players who are English. Malachi Fagan Walcott came in from Tottenham. For example, he came in on a loan, did a free. I picked him up, played him for a number of years, and I sold him for 350k. One of your best ways to make money, especially in Ireland, is picking up English players on frees at the end of their contract, then selling them on. Maxim Pagotsky came in on a free, sold for 300k. And that is something that you will see me do time and time again. Picking up young players, selling them on for more. You can see here, Tyrese John Jules came in on a free, 500k. Teddy Jenks came in on a free, 475k. It's an exceptional way to get money in the early game when you have not a lot. You can see here, there's Eduardo. Picked him up for 625k. Avoid transfers in general unless you really, really want them or they represent a very good value for money player who could be sold on for more. I believe I did this with Hugo Bueno. Signed from Wolves for 350k. He played a number of seasons, then I sold him for £1 million. I saw another player that I did that with, Ellis Sims. Everton wanted rid of him. I signed him for 96k. He played a handful of matches, sold for 125k. I thought that was more. But in general, yes, spend money if you're going to make that money in return. Afterwards, you're going to start picking up your first wonder kids. Or maybe not even wonder kids, but first players with potential higher than the rest of the league. Eduardo. Then I do next season, and I brought in Ojeda, Mendes, El Kadiri, Wim Crab, Starkovic, Gustav. Actually, that first, all of those players were my first real generation of wonder kids, you could say. However, this took me. Ireland starts in 2022. But it starts in January of 2022. So you play 6 months before all like the English League even starts. So I've been playing for a lot of years before I even got to this point. So I was buying players for cheap who I would then go to sell for free. Ojeda, he came in for 2.5 million. Played for 2 years, went to Newcastle for 1.8 million, a loss, but there is a 50% sell-on fee. If you saw his value there, it was 33 to 50 million. I get a significant amount of money if he gets sold on. Fernando Mendes came in from Vallecano for 2.3 million. Hey, I like that. If they pay that, I get a significant fee for that. That's why you add a clause. I added, I believe I look in my M, Mendes is 50% profit. So I sold him for 4.5 million. So doubled my money, nearly doubled my money. After 2 seasons, actually did pretty meh. And if he gets sold for 20 million, I'll get about 8 million from him, which is pretty good, all things considered. And this is the same. El Kadiri came in for 1.7 million, sold for 1.6 million, but he's at Aston Villa, where his thing is, 19 to 28 million. And so on and so forth. You're bringing in good, talented players to sell onwards. I think Ojeda's gone, Mendes is gone, El Kadiri's gone, Crab's gone. Gustavsson's still here, but hasn't developed to the same level I think these other 4 players have. Radislavovic is gone. Slimanchis is gone. Ashcroft is gone. A lot of these players are gone. Starkovic is still here, but he's actually a fantastic player, might I say. But he's one of the rare ones. This is also something you have to consider. I forgot about this. If your league is a low reputation league, your players will not be worth what they should be worth. The same way in the Premier League, your players may be worth more than what they're valued at, more than actually what they're worth because it's the Premier League. Their reputation is the Premier League. You're paying more because they're Premier League players. The same goes for this. I'm Ireland. It's a bit of a shit league. You're paying less. I think I would value him at, I'd say 20 to 30 million. But if somebody came in for a bid, they would bid probably less than $1 million for him and think that's acceptable. Now, he's been one of the good ones. He's stuck it out. You can see he's on a long-term deal. He seems very content to stay at the club. So what do you do if you have somebody you desperately want to keep? In general, I recommend continuously buying new players, sending them back out on loan, and then allowing them to develop, and then selling your first-team player. So, for example, Milos Kovacevic. He's wanted by Man City. If Man City come in, I've offered him out for, I believe, 10 million. I want more, but 10 million, I think, is what I'm going to get from him. I already have Velcio and Mackay ready to replace him. I have Sinclair and Galbraith as my fringe players. And if I go to my development centre, I have in my reserves, for example, Basole, Not going to be there, but he can rotate in the Irish League. I have on loan, go by potential. Not really too many. Callum Dempster, for example. Actually, not bad. Always have second and third options in case you need to sell. Don't try and hold on to players. It will ruin your morale. And you need strong team morale. You can see I'm struggling because guys are wanting more games. Guys are wanting to go out on loan. I'm having to give it to them because that's what's necessary. But if you have a player that for some reason, maybe he's like a fringe player, maybe he's like a Liechtensteinian wonder kid. Or, in my example, Anthony Campbell. He looks absolutely phenomenal. Let's be real. You may notice, career stats, he has only ever played for Derry City. He is a home-grown at club, genuine wonder kid. If you look at his attribute details, 104 current ability, 175 potential ability. But every season since 2025, without fail, people have came in from. This is also where you can see this is bullshit. Because this time last year, so in August, I had West Ham and Arsenal bid upwards of £90 million for this player. But because I'm in Ireland, that happens because I kept rejecting deals. I've been rejecting deals. I've been rejecting a deal for him basically every day for about 2 or 3 months. So every time they bid more and more and more, and until the point it got to just insane numbers. You can see 27 clubs. At one point, it was something like 58 clubs were interested in him. You can see Tottenham. Well, I'm looking at major clubs, sorry. PSG, Newcastle, Man City, Celtic. They're major clubs. Benfica, I'd say, are major clubs. But there's a lot of interest in a lot of clubs. But I do not want to sell this guy. First of all, he's my captain. He has 13 leadership, 12 teamwork. He's got decent aggression to help with squad issues. He's homegrown. He's better than anybody I could realistically buy. What's not to love? So, what I did was, if I go under a contract, he's on £6,000 a week. He's on 2031, so he's still got 3 years left. Oh, 1 year extension after league games, 30. I'll play him in 30 league games, no problem. For a year. Optional contract extension by club. 3 years. To put it in a blunt way, I have his balls in a vice. This is one of the easiest ways to keep your most important prospects. So, for example, if I went into a contract negotiation with Anthony Campbell, he might say he wants £8,000 a week, plus whatever stuff, for a 3-year deal. What I'll do is, I'll go, do you know what, I'll give you £11,000 a week if you also accept the 3-year contract extension. That way, yes, you are offering more money, but you are keeping him. And I've done this, I think, with the most important players in my team. I don't know if I did it with Dos Santos, no, but he's on a lot of money, to be fair, but he's my major signing, and to be fair, he's got 34 goals in 15 games. I'm happy with 40k. I believe I think Hoxton might, I'm not sure. Yes, Hoxton does. So he wanted, I believe, £8,000. I went, I'll give you £3,000 extra if you take 3 years. And he is excellent. He's wanted by 21 clubs, Arsenal, Barcelona, Chelsea, Inter Milan, Juventus, Liverpool. Yeah, he's wanted by everybody in this, son. But you can see he's actually kept his transfer value. Why is that? That's because I've signed him for 5 million. If you sign somebody for 6 million, they're generally going to keep their transfer value. Dos Santos, I signed for 11.75 million. To be fair, they've done him quite well. I would take 50 million for him, to be honest with you. His speed, he has all three. He's not terrible mentally. He's got good passing, good technique. His fucking speed. He's got 18 acceleration and 15 pace, both of which are improving. Come on, man. This guy can blow most defenses out of water. But, yeah, always trap your best players in long-term deals. And in general, I'm not going to sell every one of these players. I'm not going to do that. But sell enough that you're able to rotate new players in and you're able to get some money. So Castagne, I'm going to sell because Silla is equally as good, and I've got left back who can come as the backup. I might sell Balazic. He's wanted by 11 clubs. Not big club, but he's wanted. And I have running Overstad, who was complaining to me he's not getting enough game time. He's solid. I also have a young prospect, Wall. I don't know how to say his name, but he looks good as well. He's young, lots of potential. I'm going to sell Kovacevic. I might sell Yanganoi because I have the players here who can replace them, and these two actually, Sinclair and Galbraith, are homegrown. I'm not saying the front three, Starkovic, Dos Santos, Campbell, they stay. But I also do have the ability to replace them. For example, I have Mel Robinson. Really good, can rotate a lot of things. Maybe a little bit overpriced. I signed him for 15 million, but he's English homegrown. So if he even reaches half his potential, which he looks like he will, I'll be able to sell this guy for a lot of money. That is also an excellent strategy in general. If you see an English homegrown player going for cheap, who is actually a wonder kid, sign them, use them, ship them back out to Chelsea for like 30 million profit. It's easy money. English clubs always need homegrown players, and English clubs always need good English homegrown players. Trying to think of anything else I need to remember. So for an Ireland example, you need to have 2 teams. If I look at my schedule last year, you can see August to. So I played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games in August. In October, I played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games in August. Or in October. You need to be able to literally, like UCD, Victoria Pleasant, like I'm playing those 3 games afterward. My first team would not be rotated, would be fit enough to play Victoria Pleasant. I wanted to guarantee the best results. So just completely rotate the team. Bring in an entire new go, if I went in a match, go next match and just seal it in Gustavsson and everybody else. You can also do the traditional method of just hoarding and loaning as many wonder kids as goes. I actually did a fair clear out last year, I think, of quite a few players. Yeah, you can see I did a lot of players out. Just getting rid of some of the players who aren't necessarily there yet. And I'm at the point now where I'm targeting either the best players or players who are going to be resale value. Mel Robinson's going to be resale value. Alberto Luengo, he's that left back I was talking about. Looks really good. He's going to be a wing back on attack. He's not brilliant at it, but he's got very good physicals. He'll do fine at it. It's very rare you get a good fullback who can do everything. Christian Nielsen, very high potential. I don't know why it's a star thing, but he just looks good as well. Very good crossing, very quick. He might not be the sort of player that I use in my formation. Campbell's an attacking inside forward, but he could come in off the bench. Mandeli's unhappy. To be fair, his potential isn't amazing. He's good rotation. I could sell him. Let's see. No, not 7.5 million. But yeah, there's a lot of things you have to consider when doing win saves. But can I be honest with you? The main thing is patience, and the main thing is time. Every year you're going to improve bit by bit by bit by bit. And it is frustrating. It is. Absolutely frustrating. Let's go major clubs by reputation. I think I'm not terribly far off. There is, yeah, coefficients. Yeah, I'm 39th by coefficient. As you can see, I'm doing quite well at getting into group stages, which is good for Europe in general. Who's the richest clubs in Europe? Shakhtar and RB Leipzig. And Brescia. It's really interesting. That's really fun. I didn't actually know this list existed. But it does, it takes year by year by year. The best example I can show you is my stadium, which if I go to facilities, I'm not in my stadium at the moment. The Ryan McBride Brandywell is being expanded to 10,279. If anyone doesn't know, to play in Europe, you need a stadium of 10,000. I have played every single European game so far in this save in a different stadium. For the first time in 8 years I will play in my own stadium for European football. And that has taken me 8 years of constantly asking the board to expand it over and over and over. So I went from 3 to 4.5, it went from 4.5 to 6, it went from 6 to 8.9. Then I went, oh, come on, you're taking a piss. And now they've given me the 10,000 seater stadium that I can finally play in. Same goes for facilities. I actually didn't realise that I didn't have the best youth facilities. Let me fix that. We have the money, we should be doing it. No. Can I not? Oh, come on, man. One of the things I would say about playing in a low league is you're not going to struggle winning it. I think I'm in competitions, win 60, 17, drew 1. I think I was 2 games off going unbeaten last season and the season before. It does help with morale, and it means you're going into the Champions League not having to worry. Whereas you're playing the Premier League, you're playing Chelsea, and then you go into the Champions League playing somebody like Juventus. That's difficult. You have to figure out who to rotate and how to rotate. I just throw everybody else on the bench or on the squad. I think my one draw came when I did it a complete and utter rotate. Yeah, UCD, you can see what everyone's Elton Gomez, Gustavs. These are all my bench players. None of my starters were on the pitch even. But yeah, I just thought I'd go through and talk how I would do a build a nation save. I do hope you go and do one because I find it very, very, very enjoyable. It is a lot of fun, and it's something that is worthwhile, and it gives you just a bit of experience and something different than the traditional EFL or England or France save or Germany, something like that. But anyway, I hope you have a great day.